Welcome to Homes That Heal, the podcast that transforms your life and home into a sanctuary of health, healing, and happiness. Hi, I'm Jen Heller, a wellness educator, infrared sauna expert, and your guide to living intentionally. Each week, we'll explore a variety of wellness tools, along with detoxification, weight loss, and anti-aging tips to boost your energy and align your mind and body so you can thrive in life, not just survive. Your health is your wealth, and it all starts at home. Let's dive in and create a home that heals. Hey, it's Jen. Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to Homes That Heal. I'm so excited to share with you my conversation with my friend Suzanna today. In addition to her being a beautiful, bright light, she has an inspiring story about her journey through healing from cancer that I think you're really going to find interesting and quite moving. After chatting with Suzanna, what really resonates with me is the more we lean in and listen to what others have gone through, the more we can learn from each other. We also gain compassion and get a better understanding and awareness around listening to ourselves and our gut intuition. Our intuition is so important, and God gifted it to us for a reason. We need to listen to it and go inward more and know that we have a lot more power and influence on our health and well-being. Suzanna is a wellness entrepreneur with a long history in network marketing, gut health, and reducing inflammation, plus focuses much of her time living a non-toxic lifestyle. After years of abundant health, their family was challenged with a couple difficult health issues in 2022. Her husband was suddenly dealing with a severe and debilitating ear issue from Lyme's disease, and she was diagnosed with skin cancer. After some discovery and research, she was adamant about healing through a more holistic approach, which led her to a clinic in Mexico called Hope for Cancer. It's there that she learned how to nourish her body with specific healing therapies and modalities, and has since implemented them into their home and daily routines. She's a wife, a mom of 3 adult boys, has a huge heart, and is deeply rooted in her faith, family, and freedom. She's intelligent and courageous, and every time we get together, we talk for hours, and I find her story more and more encouraging. I just love her energy, and I highly recommend you check her out on Instagram and Facebook. She's now more than ever wildly passionate about connections and supporting others through healing, continuous educating herself, as well as teaching the importance of clean resources and hydrogen water. Today, we're going to hear a lot about listening to your inner intuition, a natural approach to healing from cancer, what you can incorporate into your daily routine, plus overall inspiration for living a vibrant life. So without further ado, please welcome my sweet friend, Suzanna Hake. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Homes That Heal podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm grateful for you. Today, we have a special guest. I'm so excited. My friend and health and wellness enthusiast in all things wellness, Suzanna Hake is here today, and we are going to talk about a lot of different things. First and foremost, I do want to mention today, although it's going to be past by the time you listen to this, today is summer solstice. We also just hit the record button at 11:11. I don't know about you, Susanna, but I feel like the energy and the vibe is high.
You too.
The frequencies. Tomorrow's a full moon. Like, I am reveling in all of the energy this week and just having a good time with the intentional vibration of what this type of energy brings. So thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm super excited for this. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks, so glad the day is here.
I know. And it's one of those things where it's like, if we only would have hit the record button in my living room that day, as you came over, you're like, oh, I'm going to come over for an hour or so. And like 4 hours later, we're still sitting in the living room going, oh my gosh, what are we supposed to do today? But we were just jamming out on all sorts of conversation and just knew that this was something that was calling both of us to sit down and actually have a little bit more of an intentional chat about your story, how we kind of connected as friends recently. Like, we've known each other for years, run in the same circles. We have mutual friends, but it wasn't until recently actually that we decided to exchange numbers, meet for coffee. And then, you came over, hung out, you and Chris have come over. Like, it's like soul sisters. We've been friends forever.
The rest is history.
So, I know. The rest is history, right? So I want to basically just prop you up, and you have got an amazing story. in addition to, you are such a bright light, you're so vibrant, and I can just feel your energy. Anybody who knows you, and when you walk into a room, you light it up, no doubt. For those watching on YouTube, can probably feel that through the screen as well, and they'll hear it through your voice. But you have an amazing story. You have an amazing family. You have an amazing heart and just a beautiful energy to help and connect with other people and women on a number of different levels. So please share a little bit about you, or as much about you as you'd like, and kind of how you stepped into this health and wellness journey.
I would love to. I'm obsessed about talking about all things wellness. And I always tell people if one person can resonate with my story, then it's been a good day. So I'm certain I can resonate
Absolutely.
with one person. Well, okay. So thinking about how to, introduce yourself, you could talk about so many different things, but I went back to kind of the beginning. I grew up in the north suburbs of Chicago in the 70s and 80s when life was just a little bit simpler. And we had 10 acres out in the country, and I had three brothers, and my middle brother was obsessed with animals. So he started raising, we had chickens, steer, sheep, and it was really a very unique way to grow up outside a pretty big suburban area of Chicago. And I just think I took so much of that for granted because it's exactly what I want right now, and I don't have it. I want to live off the grid, but I know that that's something that, can happen. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But from my background, after high school, I went to college and got my teaching degree and thought I would be a teacher forever. I went to University of Cincinnati and then returned home after graduation and was living in the Chicago area. It didn't last long. I met my husband on a beach in Florida. That was just a crazy story. And then moved to Madison in 93. We'll celebrate our 29th wedding anniversary this year. And we have three amazing boys, 27, 24, and 20. They all live within 10 minutes of us, which is super great.
Oh, amazing.
I know. So I started off teaching kindergarten, which I think was the perfect fit for me. I love little kids, but I also coached high school volleyball because I knew I wanted to be around older kids. And I'm a sports fiend. I was a volleyball player for years. But when I had our second son, something clicked in me and I knew I needed a change. And I always tell people I have this sleeping giant inside of me that I didn't know. My husband constantly told me about it, but it was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I knew I wanted to be more present in my kids' lives, bring in income, still have something of my own. So, like many women who are listening or will listen to this, I started a business in network marketing. And that was in 2000. And I've actually built two businesses to the leadership levels over the last 24 years, 12 years with each company. And I'm still with that second company and I love it. The industry has been such a gift to our family because it allowed me to be my own boss. I had total flexibility. I earned great income. I went on a bunch of trips. I even had the car, have the car. But most importantly, I was able to help others. And so, I really encourage people that are in that industry to, don't give up. It can be hard. It's kind of a grind sometimes, but so is everything. And I feel like if you love the product that you talk about and you are so passionate about that and you believe that it can help others, then you should stick with it. And so to segue to what I do now, I still have that business in health and wellness, but I would say that I'm a health coach and I really walk alongside people dealing with cancer, a lot of other illnesses. And I call myself a resource and a connector. And I think it's a gift because of the great people I have in my life and in my circle. And so that is a way that I feel like I can serve people.
Yes, exactly. I thank you so much for sharing all that. I resonate with a lot of it, but particularly what you just shared about being a connector and an educator. I sell saunas, right? People know that. And I tell people every day, I am not a salesperson. I'm a wellness educator that sells products, or can point you in the right direction. I am a resource and the go-to, but I don't sell anything. I'm here to educate you, and then you discern and decide what is a good fit for you. So I love that. Okay, so you moved to Madison, had a family, sleeping giant, made some changes. Next steps. Where do we go from here?
Well, I think when I look back to the life that I had, my husband and I are super active people, very, very healthy. We never get sick. We never go to the doctor. We we pay for insurance and we wonder why we pay for insurance because, knock on wood, we never use it. And, I think one of the things that you and I have talked about is, what does wellness really mean?
Mhm.
And gosh, 15 years ago, I would have told you, things like running on little sleep, just being super busy, packing in your day,
Oh, yeah.
playing tons of sports, being a super mom, like not letting your kids see you fail. And also, you weren't allowed to be sick or complain. So that was what wellness meant to me then. And I mean, I said those things. And 15 years ago, that was me. Never complained, never sick, all that.
Right.
The last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, my answer would be completely different. And I would say, having the least amount of stress as possible, more time traveling with friends and family, consuming very little alcohol, like it has to be a very special occasion, getting 8 hours of sleep at night, reducing my EMF exposure is a huge one. And I know that's something that you're passionate about as well.
Yep.
There's so many things to me that mean wellness now that are completely different than before. And I was totally burning the candle at both ends and was very proud of that. I literally thought that was my superpower. And
Oh, yeah.
I tell young moms now, like they're so overrated.
Yeah, the busy word, right? It's the busy or the hustle. Now, granted, I can hustle and grind if I need to. When I step into my office and I'm intentional, like I'm hustling and grinding during that time because I like to get shit done. Like I don't screw around. But my schedule, overarchingly, I mean, it's to a lot of people, it's busy, but it's really not. It's just full of things that I want to do. And it's not all work. Like I have a morning routine and a life routine that some would look at and be like, how do you spend 3 hours doing that? Like this morning, I just walked into my office 15 minutes before you and I got on the call here because I was meditating, reading, sauna, yoga, like all the things that I need to do to be well in order to show up in my life in a way that I want to show up in my life and my business. And so balancing my schedule, like it looks kind of full, but it's also full of alignment. It's full of things I love. It's full of things that don't bring me stress. And I don't work 14-hour days every day, all day. Like I'll do it in the season that I need to do it, like winter is sauna season, right? To some degree. But in general, it's just harmonizing our life. And I know you and I've talked a lot, and we'll get a little bit more into the details here in a second about creating this space under our own roof, having these modalities. Like, what does wellness mean to me? It means having the things that I need to feel well under my roof so that I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have the stress to go anywhere. We live in Wisconsin. If there's an ice storm and I can't get to my appointment, I'm stressed out, So why do that? Just figure out ways to create that under your roof, whatever that looks like, so that you can just, I don't say glide through life because life isn't,
Right.
just rainbows and unicorns, but you have more ease and flow in your day to day so that when something throws a curveball at you or,
Which will
something,
happen.
right, a challenge does come up, you're like, oh, okay, shift and pivot. You're well rested, you're eating well, you're taking care of yourself. And like, you can make the change on your schedule or your life to just pivot and go that direction if you need to. And you don't have to look at it like this catastrophic situation every single time. So,
Right.
yeah, I 100% agree and resonate with that. I think women, especially, like we're wearing the badge of 1,000 things all the time. And I'm not even a mom, so I can't wear that badge. I don't even know what that feels like. But I have a great mom and I know plenty of great moms. And I know that it's a day of 1,000 things, right? And so what kind of time is left for yourself? Okay, guys, I have something super exciting to share with you. I created a home wellness checklist especially for you to transform your home into a personal wellness sanctuary. The checklist includes a list of actionable steps to clear out the clutter, create a dedicated space for movement and mindfulness, ways you can clean up your air and water quality, how to bring in more nature and natural light to the space, plus suggestions and ideas for health and healing tools. It's all there in one easy to-do list. It's simple, it's free, it's fun, and it's available at jenhillerlifestyle.com. Also, if you haven't already done so, you want to check out the Jen Recommends page on the site as well. It's loaded with my favorite books, wellness tools, and quite frankly, it's literally all the things in my own home. So if you're curious about what I love and what I use, it's chock full. My cleaning products, the towels I use in my sauna, the sheets on my bed, the high vibe frequency leggings I'm obsessed with, it's all there. Plus, if you're wondering who my go-to connections are for leveling up my life and living abundantly, check out the connections page. It's a direct link to a few of my favorite people and resources. Overall, if you know me well, you know I'm deeply passionate about living a joyful, aligned life. And it's so important to harmonize our homes so we can live in this abundant space every day. It's where we rest, restore, dream, manifest, and create memories with your family. It should be your sacred space. So if you're ready to get rid of the low vibe energy, feel inspired, and excited to elevate your life, go to jenhellerlifestyle.com and download the Home Wellness Checklist to create your home that heals. And so tell me a little bit about the last 5 years and what has shifted and what, I don't want to say like the aha moments. Talk a little bit and share a little bit about what it was that really changed the course, changed the ship direction, so to speak.
Yeah, this is where we could probably talk for 3 hours.
I know. Part 2 coming on.
Quite intense. I mean, I used to say when I'd go to the doctor, which was rare, I'm pretty boring. And they're like, yeah, boring is good when it comes to this. And we just were doing the thing and we were living this great life. And my husband's in real estate. It's feast or famine, so there were some tough times financially, but we were fine through that. We figured it out. But you take your health for granted until you don't have it. And it's quite, yeah.
Until you get lobbed a check-in, a warning shot, right?
Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of ways I could answer that, but I would really think the most alarming thing that happened was, during COVID. But leading up to that, we were all really, really healthy and fine. We got COVID early on and it was, we had it for a couple of days and we were fine. But what happened to my husband about a month later, he started having these crazy ear symptoms and it was very bizarre. He always had the ringing in his ears, but this was very different. And we, started going to some actual doctors to figure out what was going on. He had ear pressure, the ringing, and something called hyperacusis, which is extreme sensitive hearing. So any noise, talking, his own voice, driving, getting ice in your cup, any of that stuff was painful to him. Not just uncomfortable, it was painful. So he wore headphones, like big, long headphones around all the time. So that started right after COVID. During that whole thing as well, my eyes were opened to, this just isn't adding up. And early on, I started digging and we were home. We couldn't do anything. So I start diving into research. I'm like, this is just not making sense. And the logic behind the closings and all the things that we don't even have to get into the details. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. So with Chris being very, very sick, not being able to work, we were driving him around to different appointments, trying to get into specialists, and the same answer every single time. You're healthy, you're fit, we don't know what's wrong with you. Fast forward, we had some testing done. And one of my friends recommended getting a Lyme test. Like Lyme's disease, that test? And she said, yes. And she had some experience with one of her daughters. And so she told me the exact test to get, where to go get it and do all that. Came back glaring that he had Lyme. Probably had it for 20 years. It was dormant. And when he got COVID kind of woke up. It finds your weakest thing in your body and it woke it up. So we're dealing with this. And I just remember thinking, the craziness of it, the silencing of these doctors. Like we were trying to find holistic remedies for a lot of things. And those people were being kind of silenced. And I was ordering ivermectin from India. I mean, I'm like, this is insane. I should be able to get it from a doctor, but no, you couldn't do that. So that was going on. And we're dealing with his issues. And then second thing happens, and this is the summer of 2022. I go into the dermatologist. I have this little spot on my upper cheek and it's just kind of not going away. So I go in to see a dermatologist and right off the bat, she's like, oh, we're going to do a biopsy. That could be skin cancer. And that's the protocol. They just immediately, do a biopsy. So I'm like, okay. Comes back, I don't know, a week or so later, and it is basal cell carcinoma. And At the time, I remember thinking basal cell carcinoma isn't very life threatening. I mean, people get surgery, most, cut out all the time. If it was on my shoulder, my back, I probably would have done it. I probably would have just had it done. But it was so close to my eye that they recommended a surgery. And I have to admit, I was like, oh, the vain part of you as a woman, probably men
Yeah.
too, but I have a kid getting married. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is not what I want to do. And so I say, I'm not going to do anything. No one's going to cut into me unless I meet with them first. So I set up an appointment to go meet with this surgeon. Holy cow. This was definitely a pivotal moment in my health journey. So he was like a horrible person.
Yeah.
We sit down. So I'm by myself. My husband can't go anywhere. So I go by I should have had a friend come, but I'm pretty like stoic. And this is
Oh, yeah.
another thing. Don't
I've
do it.
been there. I
Bring
know
a friend.
that.
Bring a friend. I had many friends that would have come with me, but I was like, no, I got this. And so
Oh.
I go sit down in this office with him and he expands my face on this screen and he starts drawing and he draws this huge, we're going to cut from here to your hairline. We're going to cut from here down to your lip. I'm like, excuse me? This is supposed to make me feel better. And then he says to me, oh, and by the way, Susanna, you are not going to look the same. Okay. These are his exact words. I'm like, okay, I think I might throw up actually. So I basically stand up and I'm like, okay, this is not happening. I'm not comfortable with this. And he proceeds to tell me very rudely, I'm the best surgeon in the area. You'll be back. Well, I marched out of there. $800 later, he doesn't even touch me. And that's what the appointment cost. I
Oh,
go to my
geez.
car and I start bawling. And that is not me. I always hold it together. So I lose it in the car by myself. And shortly after that, I think it was about 10 minutes, I'm like, all right, stop your pity party, pull yourself together. You got work to do. So I called my best friend and I got her to work. She was incredible. She started reaching out to her network. I started reaching out to mine. And that's when suggestions started coming in. And, I was like, okay, I need to figure out some things, holistic or whatever. And I did try some kind of odd things. I went onto these Facebook groups on cancer treatments and yeah, so wouldn't necessarily recommend all those things, but I learned a lot. I heard people's stories. I'm like, okay, this is not the end. Like, I don't have to do this. I can,
Right.
test the waters. I have time. I can start learning. So that's what I started doing. Well, then I have this other really, really great person in my life. And I had reached out to her and she said, Susanna, I don't know. I don't have any, suggestions around skin cancer, but I think you should call Hope for Cancer. Okay. I don't even know what it is, where it is. I Google it. Literally, I hang up the phone, I Google it. And within 5 minutes, I get a call back from somebody. So I'm kind of like, okay, this must be God saying, this is a direction you should go. So the woman who calls me back, who's now a good friend of mine,
Oh.
ironically, I felt like someone was listening to me, someone was hearing my story and had a possible solution. So that was the start of my kind of Hope for Cancer journey. And I know that we're going to talk more about that, but I want to stop there and just see if you have any questions on clarifying any of that.
No, I mean, you shared some of this with me, but a lot of this information or the details of the surgeon thing you and I had not talked about. So I'm like over here in goosebumps because I had my own experience with a woman after my stroke that was probably one of the most rude individuals I've ever encountered, especially in the medical field. She basically was like, yeah, you're going to need to just live with the fact that you're going to be paralyzed. Like, you should probably just get used to not using the left side of your body. And she like looked me straight in the face and said that. She was like my age too. And I just thought, really? I mean, so you just think there's no hope for somebody that is otherwise like, obviously I wasn't healthy because my body just, shut down on me to some degree, but otherwise I have the will, I have the means and the resources and the intention to like fix this or figure out what my options are. And you're just like, nope, end of the road. You should probably just be good with being paralyzed. And her exact words were, well, hopefully you don't need a wheelchair. And I was like,
Super comforting.
is this a freaking joke? I remember sitting on the table, one of those table things, like the paper freaking table things.
Mm.
And I remember my body feeling so hot and sweaty because I was like, my nervous system was so upset, but I was just sitting there and the tears were streaming down my face. And she wanted to do some sort of test with me. She wanted me to hop off the table and do a walking or do a test. And I just stood there, and my first thought was like, I think my legs are stuck to this paper at this point because I'm so like a ball of fire right now. I'm so mad, and I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm like all the emotions. And I just looked at her and I said, I think we're done here. I think we're done here. And I'm going to put myself on your schedule. When I heal my body, I'm going to put myself back on your schedule, and I'll be back because I'm not going to be paralyzed forever. And I appreciate your time and your thoughts here, but I'm not going to receive that. So you can keep that, and I'll be back someday maybe to let you know that you were wrong. And you probably should be a little bit more empathetic and hopeful for people. And I left. I jumped off and I got off the table. And when I walked out, I told the same thing to the receptionist. She's like, would you like to reschedule? And I said, not right now, ma'am, but I'm going to be back because that woman just told me that I should just live with being paralyzed, and I'm not going to do that. So maybe someday I'll call you back and let you know, but this is not the end of the road for me. So have a nice day. So not the same thing, but I've been there where somebody is just like, oh, this is your only option. You should probably just live with this.
It's ridiculous.
What people need to understand, and one of the reasons why we're having this conversation is like, it's fine to get information, but sometimes you need to just say, no, thank you. And for that, like I wasn't receiving that. I wasn't going to receive that message because that lives within you. If you start affirming or confirming that information,
Yep.
Anybody who told me that I was going to be paralyzed forever, I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank
Yep.
you. So it sounds like this guy and this woman was kind of had the same ego, what you're describing with this surgeon who's like,
Yeah.
I'm the best there is. I'm your only hope. It's like, yeah, you're not any hope.
No. Well, and don't hear me
Opposite of
like
that.
I don't think either of us are saying there aren't amazing
Oh, no.
surgeons and physicians
absolutely-
out there, but I have a lot of friends now that have cancer, have gone NED, like they've healed their cancer without surgery, chemo, radiation, and some that are still going through those things. But 95% of those people have the same story as me. Horrible interactions. And I think it's become such a business that people just like you're kind of a number, and again, it's what they've been trained, so they're going to tell you what they think is right. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right. And I think, when you think of, you get a diagnosis, and I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier for some people to just look at a doctor and say, tell me what to do, I trust you, I know it's going to be hard and maybe I won't like this result, but at least the cancer's gone or whatever. And I think there are so many other things out there that a traditional doctor is not going to tell you because that doesn't bring them business or money. We paid out of pocket a lot of money for me to go do that. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, and neither would my husband because of everything we learned. But the biggest advice I could give to somebody is like, be an advocate. And if you don't have the strength or the personality to maybe stand up and then have somebody with you who does or who is.
Right.
It doesn't have to be your spouse. It could be, your best friend, because a lot of times people that you go in and you get a diagnosis that's maybe quite scary, your family members typically just want you to be okay. They just want you to be healed. And they see that the means to an end is just do the mastectomy or do the surgery, do the chemo, or do the radiation, because then we get you back and you get to live. As you dive more into the chemo and all these different things, the benefits aren't really what we think that they are. It's actually much more harmful. The statistics are not great. The percentage of people that actually, like the chemo actually works.
Yeah, two things I want to say to that, just to agree with you that not all practitioners, I know a ton of great practitioners. In fact, I left that office and made an appointment with another doctor who actually was fantastic through the UW system here in Madison. And he had kind of a balanced respect for both Western and holistic medicine and just like the whole overarching like wellness. And so there are a ton of phenomenal medical professionals, and in their defense, so to speak, they're also just speaking inside the scope of their practice. Like they don't know what they don't know, right? And so a lot of the stuff that's alternative or in different other avenues, it isn't within their teaching and what they've learned. And so I don't fault that, obviously. I mean, I wish overarchingly like the system had some of these other things built into it, but in general, the expectation for them to have that answer, unfortunately, like I was just desperate. I'm like, somebody tell me
Right.
what to do, so you're emotionally charged from it. But stepping back now, years later and looking at it, it's like, I'm not angry. I was angry at the time, but it's just more of like an awareness of like, oh my gosh, to your point, you need to just, I don't say slow down because sometimes time is of the essence, but just take a step back and go with your gut. Like ask yourself, like, what do I need to do here? Do I maybe need to get some other opinions? Do I maybe need to check with some other options? Maybe I should check to see if some other people have found some other resources that were less invasive or less harmful to my immunity or whatever the case is, and just consider other options. If nothing else, just consider knowing that there are other options. I talk to people every day on the phone that are calling to inquire about sauna, but a lot of the times it's because of a medical situation, something, a diagnosis or something they've been given, and they're in their mind, like they're trying to make a fast decision or they're trying to make a move.
Yeah.
And I'm there for it. If you want to like pull the trigger on this today, get this thing in your home tomorrow, like absolutely. But I also encourage people, like, just take a minute, make sure that you understand, that you're not just doing something to do something, and that it's really going to be supportive of your health and your life and your well-being. And so I applaud you, obviously, because I've told you before, like how important it was and how impactful it was for you to step back and say, no, thank you to that. Let me just check some other paths. And obviously, Hope for Cancer was the other path for you. Share a little bit about that experience and I don't say what you did there, but just share a little bit about what that journey was.
I usually tell people that because I get a lot of people that reach out to me now, friends, hey, will you talk to my friend? She was just diagnosed. She's looking at alternative ways. And it was a transformative experience for me. I learned so much, first of all. It was definitely out of my comfort zone, leaving the country, leaving my family for 21 days to go spend time in a clinic and basically just do whatever they told me to do. Because at this point, I had several appointments virtually, and I knew that, I was very convicted on going. And
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm
yeah,
curious, what was the knowing? How did you know this was the right path? Like, how did you know you needed to leave your family and go to Mexico? Like, I'm
well,
curious.
I actually have one specific thing. I think, like, my husband and I have been talking about it for a couple of weeks. We were in the process of selling our home just because the market was insane. And so we knew we were going to have this influx of money. But I had a girlfriend, and she had had 3 different surgeries done on her face for skin cancer. And we would talk often, and she knew that I had this same situation I was dealing with, but I didn't want to go the traditional route. She reached out to me this one day because I had asked her, like, hey, you get to take someone with you. And I said, would you want to come with me? And you could get 1 week of the treatments while I'm there for the 3 weeks, and then you can just go back home. She had already made a commitment to go the direction that she was going with her healing. So I'm driving home one day and she calls me, and I'm thinking, oh, it's interesting. We had just talked not that long ago. And I just had this pit in my stomach thinking, oh my gosh, does she have another one that she has to deal with? Because I had conversations like, are there changes? Are they talking to you about making changes in your diet? I mean, are you just going to keep going back and getting these surgeries done? I mean, maybe there's something you could do. There's some way your body is telling you that there's something wrong.
Mhm.
So I'm on my way home, and I pick up the phone, and she says, hey, just checking in with you. Did you decide what you're going to do? Are you going or not? And I said, actually, my husband and I are talking tonight. We're making a final decision. And she said, well, I just want to let you know that I just got some bad news today. I have breast cancer. And it was like, okay, this is why I'm going, because I don't have breast cancer. At least I don't think I do, because, we never really know. I just thought, I have to go. I have to go here because something is going on in my body that is producing this cancer. And even though it may not seem like this big, huge, scary thing, it was for me. And I didn't want more things to be happening. So that was it. That was the deciding factor. I went home, told my husband, he's like, yeah, let's fill out the paperwork. And then we made the decision.
That's awesome. It's interesting because there's usually a pivotal moment and you know exactly where you are, exactly if you're, what you're
Yep.
wearing, that feeling of like, it's like, boom, access changed, pivot, go in this direction. Yeah. I think we can all
100%.
resonate with that. So
Yeah.
Okay, so you head to the clinic. Tell me a little bit about what what you experienced there. I know in general this is kind of where we talk about like the overall wellness lifestyle, right?
Yes.
Like I think you got an overall basically of what obviously you're there for some treatments and so it's a bit intense. You know, that's your
Mhm.
everyday all day, but tell me about walk me through a day in the life at that clinic as well as what you brought home with you as your lessons, you know, and things that you've integrated into your life, not just your life, but obviously your entire family. It's like, I
Oh
know
yeah.
this has become, this is like, you're the pillar for the fam
Yep.
now. So,
Yep. And
okay.
friends. And
Yes.
friends. It's really been amazing. So, basically your first day is all your blood tests, ultrasound, thermography, hair analysis. I mean, they do a full workup on you, which I can't even imagine what that would cost here, but that's basically what you're doing that day. And they do like your onboarding. So, you kind of get a tour and there's 30 IV chairs, so they can have 30 people at a time. But you come in with usually one other patient up to maybe 4 or 5. So there were 4 other couples that were there. I was the only single because I had to travel by myself. My son did come with me for the first week, but there was no way Chris could. Like he probably should have come to be with me, but there was no way he was flying or could handle any of the noise anyway. So first day is done. And then really every day was very similar. You eat the most amazing food. Everything is vegan, organic, obviously. So tasty. You realize, I mean, I didn't really need to lose weight per se, but I lost 16 pounds. All inflammation.
Yeah.
So
Water
clearly
weight, just the
yeah,
garbage, right?
I was like, everything. And, we don't realize how much inflammation we have just from, eating, breathing our air, the normal things, drinking our water, stress. So that was transforming. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. But we did things, we started every morning off with worship and song and praying, which was really cool. Probably not going to see that in most clinics here in this country. Then we moved into our IV rooms and we immediately got our IV for the day. It was either vitamin C, curcumin, B17, just different things. It was a rotating thing. And you wheeled your IV thing around with you as you went to your different treatments. So there were things like hyperbaric was my absolute favorite. We did that every single day. And I felt like $1 million when I got out of that. We were in for an hour and it was just, you got oxygen you're breathing. Oh, it was just heaven.
Yeah,
Can't wait
I
to have one
know.
of those. And then every other day we did a hyperthermia, which was my least favorite thing, but I actually want one now because I realized we called it the pizza oven. And the goal is just your head sticks out and the goal is to get your body to between 105 and 108 degrees for
Yeah.
45 minutes. So you are melting basically.
Cooking
But
away. Yeah.
yeah, but cancer cells cannot thrive where there's heat. So they just,
That's
cook your body. So we did that every other day. We did coffee enemas every day, which I'm not gonna lie. The first time I heard about coffee enemas, I was like, ooh, okay, that's weird. Love them. Love them. Still do them. They have so many benefits. And I have a great resource I could share if people reach out to me later that is really a full list of how you do them and why they're amazing.
Awesome. I'll have
It's
to
great for liver health. Oh, yeah.
remind me about that because I have not gone down that path and I am
Yeah.
interested. So
I
remind me
definitely
later.
was very skeptical about that. I have a very funny story about the first time I did it, but we'll save that offline because
We'll park
it's
that for
pretty
another time.
it's pretty funny. So coffee enemas, we did red light every day. We did one colonic a week, which I have never done that either. That was amazing. We did different things like they do stem cell therapies. It depends on the cancer. A lot of people had, like they took our blood out and would oxygenate it and put it back in. I forget the name of that. There was
Yeah.
sound therapy, light therapy. I wore a laser watch, which I did get to take home. That's like a $1,500 watch. You take an oral sensitizer like Metachlor or curcumin, and then you wear the watch for an hour or 2 hours a day. So all these great things that
Yeah.
most people like me had never heard of and never done. And there were other things too, but it was basically you just kind of moved from treatment to treatment. The nurses were incredible. The middle week I was there, Dr. Tony, who is the founder of Hope for Cancer, who, by the way, has an amazing book I recommend everyone should read. It's called Hope for Cancer.
Okay.
and he did a Q&A with us. We got an appointment with him for an hour, and he went through all of our blood work and gave suggestions. We actually spent most of my appointment talking about my husband because, in my opinion, Chris was way worse off than I was. So he was super helpful with that. And then he did a Q&A. 3 hours of us just asking him questions. I think I took a notebook full of notes, and I have referred to that many times since. We talked about his recommendation of not doing mammograms and the reasons why, and what happens when you cut into a tumor or do a biopsy, and the difference between a regular cancer cell and a cancer stem cell. And just it really was opened my eyes to the fact that anyone, a close friend of mine or a family member or myself down the road, with a different cancer diagnosis, I would approach it very, very much like he taught. So much information that I learned there. And then, too, just you get to, I don't know if our 3 weeks was unique, but there are several people that I met that in January that I'm still very close to. I've gone to visit them. We've had little reunions, and we
Aw.
still, pray for each other and communicate daily, pretty much.
Stay
And so
connected.
that's crazy. And they're all doing really, really well. Some have no evidence of disease, and some are
Mhm.
still working through things, but we are a great resource for each other.
I was going to say, I think just the sense of community and obviously the word
Mhm.
hope, right? And just the power of prayer and just having people resonate with you and have kind of walked the path as well that can share in that experience as well as just be compassionate and understanding. So I feel like anytime you're going through something like that and you're vulnerable, the people that you meet along the way typically become some sort of lifelong friend or
100%.
connection or resource of some sort because there's a reason why people are brought together in those circumstances. I firmly believe that. So I know the chamber, we could chat about that for hours. I know, that I love that you came over and used ours for a
So fun.
bit. I know. We'll build your homes that heal. I know that you guys are in the process of making some shifts. So we'll definitely be chatting about that further. But
Yes.
one of the things that you brought home for your lifestyle from that is the hydrogen water. So I want to
Yes.
talk for a few minutes. I know you're really passionate about this. This is definitely an area that's not my wheelhouse for sure, which is one of the many reasons I wanted to chat with you today is just the importance of our water, whether it be our drinking water, our bathing water, the water that we use every day, like the importance of pouring and nourishing our body with quality hydration.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what the hydrogen water did and does for your body and why you dove headfirst into it.
And I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before I mention the hydrogen water, I would just say that coming back from Hope for Cancer, I mean, I did bring back tons of information. I mean, some of it's just supplemental, but you could do a whole nother hour on the different things that people could be doing that don't cost like buying a sauna or a hyperbaric chamber, supplementing your vitamin D, so many different things that I think people just skip over that I'm sure, we can always set up another time to talk, but
That
people should be
too.
digging into that. Yes.
Yeah.
But our bodies are made up of 70% water. So what we put into our body is super important. And that goes for everything on your skin and, what you consume. But the interesting thing was before I went to Hope for Cancer, I had reached out to a couple different people that had been there. And I thought, I just want like a couple tools. What can I expect? And the thing that all three of these women told me was, you need to be drinking hydrogen water. You don't even, what is that? Is that a gas? Like, what is that? So I did a little bit of research and knew about it before I went down there. And then, of course, that's the only water that Dr. Tony has you drink when you're there. Basically, prior to that, we were drinking out of those 5-gallon jugs that they say that sit on runways for, hours in the hot sun, and they're made out of plastic. And I think, oh my gosh, but I didn't know, right? We were drinking bottled water. We had filtered water coming out of our refrigerator. And we thought that was way better than tap water, which in theory it is.
Right.
So, but when I got to Hope for Cancer and they start talking about, you guys, those are loaded with microplastics, endocrine disruptors, and we were spending a lot of money on that too. So I get there, I start drinking this water. I'm like, oh, it just tastes good, really good. And then he would send that back to the hotel with us too. So we didn't have to drink bottled water. So to give a little bit of description of what this is, so people kind of know if you've never heard of it, it's a water ionizer and it produces molecular hydrogen water. It's called living healing water. So it sits on our counter. It has 7 levels of pH. We use them for everything. So we have 9.5 pH for drinking, 8.5 for cooking. Our dogs also drink that. We make our own ice cubes. I know it's a bit much, but if I'm going to drink the water, I don't want to put toxic ice cubes in. So we make our ice cubes out of 9.5. We use the 11.5 strong alkaline water to clean our fruits and vegetables. It's an oil emulsifier, so it strips off all pesticides, even off organic.
Awesome.
The 11.5 is also laundry detergent, so we have had a savings there. And then the 2.5 strong acidic water, we fill our glass spray bottles, and this is hypochlorous acid, which is 50 times stronger than bleach and completely non-toxic. You could drink it. I mean, you don't want to drink it, but you can gargle in it. There are so many remedies, things that you can use this water for remedies in your home. Scrapes, pink eye, gargling. I mean, I could go on and on. And that's just a teeny bit. I have this awesome link that I send to people that does way more of a description. So if anybody wants that, I can certainly send that too.
Yes, I've
But
watched the videos.
Yes.
That's the video. Those are the videos you're talking about, right? That you
Yeah.
sent to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think,
Fantastic.
more important than how we use it is like why. Why is it so important? Why would a well-known oncologist that owns a clinic want people drinking this water? And it mainly comes down to oxidative stress. And if you don't know what that is, basically our body, every minute of every day, we expose our body to free radicals, and that causes damage to our DNA and our cell membranes. It contributes to premature aging, and it creates an environment where disease can thrive, which is why you hear people talk about alkaline water. If your body is alkaline, disease can't thrive there. So it's kind of like that same thing. And then antioxidants slow down this process. So whether it's through your food or your water, you want antioxidants. And we say you're going to drink water anyway, so why not be intentional about the water you drink? So this machine that I have and other ionizers out there, just know what you're buying, obviously. The properties include antioxidation, microclustering, rich in molecular hydrogen, and then negative ORP. And ORP stands for oxidation reduction potential. So tons of benefits, obviously, from antioxidants that will neutralize and remove free radicals from your blood. The hydrogen has a therapeutic potential for over 170 disease models, so including Parkinson's, cancer, Alzheimer's, Crohn's disease, and so many other things. So we feel really good about that in prevention. It's also an antioxidant. Like I said, it's an anti-inflammatory, anti-aging, anti-diabetic, and anti-tumor.
Wow.
So that's awesome. And then the microcluster that I mentioned, that just means that the molecules are smaller and less clustered. So your body is able to better absorb it, which means you're going to be hydrated way better and more effectively. Yeah. And then you can test water to see what the ORP is, but just to give people an idea. So green tea, which is obviously something that's very healthy for you, that is a negative ORP, negative 100. That's like in golf. You want the lower score is better. So green tea is negative 100. Blueberries around negative 200. A water ionizer will produce ORP of negative 500 to negative 800. Nothing else does that. Nothing else does that. Some of the fun things about the water that we love, you could take it through TSA. It's considered medical grade water. And because of HIPAA, you can just say I have a medical condition. They can't ask you what that is. They will have you probably go through and hand, sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. So I just give myself extra time. And by the way, never go through the scanners.
I was going to say, I haven't gone through one of those scanners in probably 15 years.
That's going to zap you with so much. Yeah.
Market's really mad at me. In fact, we almost missed our flight 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, I'm just going to wait. And I think I stood there for 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. And I asked the guy twice. I was like, did anybody forget about me? And he was not happy. He's like, no, I see you. I'm like, okay, just making sure.
Yeah, they don't always love it, but I've had really good, oh, sure, no problem. They wave a thing, they open it up, wave a thing over it. But
yeah, I like it when I can just go through I'm always scanning the lines to see if there's one that I
the
can
other one,
just
the smaller one.
Yeah, it's just basically the metal detector, right? That you're just walking through. But yeah, I don't do those scan machines. I don't electrocute myself. I wouldn't say that I would miss a flight over it because I feel like Mark would probably just push me through it. That's interesting you say that about TSA because I'm already going through that. I already do the pat down anyway, so that would be
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah. So just have it in a enclosed thing and then they'll just open it up. But I mean, like that's the thing that you start learning these tricks and you're like, oh wait. I mean, it's gonna run out. You're probably eventually gonna have to get some bottled water. But it's better than just
Right. It's good to have it, especially on an airplane when you're traveling. You're so dehydrated.
yeah.
I mean, we're not meant to be 30,000 feet from the ground, right? I mean, and I travel a ton, and boy, it can zap you and it can really take you out. I mean, these last few trips I've been on because they were so back to back, and I was from LA to Florida and everywhere in between. It's like when you're hopping time zones and coasts and time frames, like had to catch an early morning flight. So up at 2 a.m. to go to Chicago, like your circadian rhythm's always messed up.
Oh my gosh.
Staying
Yes.
hydrated and taking care and supportive of your body so that you're not just burning the candle from every single end is so important. So this is actually super helpful information because it's a hack, basically. It's a way for you to take better
Totally.
care of yourself and be proactive. Like we talk all the time about chasing your health backwards. That's not a fun game for me anymore. I'd rather
No.
just be proactive and just go into it prepared and knowing what I need. And so that's great information.
100%.
Well, I feel like as we said, we could talk forever.
We scratched the surface.
We've scratched the surface and hopefully intrigued. Well, first and foremost, please share with the listeners where they can find you. Thank you so much. You gave them so much information. I have no doubt that people will be reaching out to you. So share where they can find you, how they can connect, and the best avenues.
Absolutely. First and foremost on Instagram, that's the best way to reach me. My handle is Suzanna Hake Wellness. Any of the things I talked about, from coffee enemas to information about Hope for Cancer, I love telling people about that place. The water, other things that I use, I love Arbonne's protein and greens, and there's some amazing products that I can recommend there. Email is a really good way to communicate with me as well, SuzannaHake@gmail.com. And those are probably the best two.
Okay. I do want to share too, for anyone that's interested in particular for the water, this is a wheelhouse that's very close to your heart. So these machines and the ionizers, we didn't even talk about the shower head that I'm obsessed with.
And the Encore, the turmeric supplement is amazing.
Waiting for my master bath to get remodeled so that I can incorporate that in. But just the water that we bathe into just for our skin and for our health. So anybody who wants to find out more information about bringing this wellness water into your home, please reach out. Well, Suzanna, like I said, we're probably going to do a part 2, probably a part 4. I don't even know.
That'd be amazing.
Thank you so much for sharing all of your, a lot of stuff, a lot of vulnerable stuff, a lot of deep stuff into your health, into your family's health. I know you guys are still walking some stuff with Chris. He's doing much better for everybody listening. So that's great. So you guys have really incorporated this as a lifestyle and bringing these things into your home. So thanks again so much for sharing your story, and we'll chat again soon.
I so appreciate you having me. And yes, I can't wait to talk soon.
Okay, friends and fellow wellness warriors, thanks for tuning in today. If this show was helpful and inspired you, please head over to Apple or Spotify to rate, review, subscribe, and follow us, as well as share it with your friends and family. It's a fantastic way to grow the show, expand my reach, and teach others how to create a vibrant life they love. If you're ready to invest in your health and purchase a Clear Light sauna, hop on over to jenhellerlifestyle.com and send me a note. Thanks again for tuning in. I love you. I'm grateful for you, and I thank you so much for your support. You are the reason I do this work. You are the reason I do this show. And you are the reason I get up every single day with a burning desire in my soul. Cheers to your health and happiness, my friends. We'll see you next week. This podcast is for general information purposes only and is not intended to be substituted for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you think you have a medical condition, consult your licensed physician.